Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Friday's gigantic edition of the DCEU Daily. Because first off today, I am going to perform just for you, my viewers and subscribers and prospective subscribers, that deleted scene between Joker and Batman from the Batman. Then we will analyse the scene and we'll talk about it deeper, and then we'll talk about maybe some other things as well. We will see. But first of all today, I am going to perform that Batman and Joker scene, deleted scene from the Batman, probably very badly. I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm not saying you're going to like it, but I just thought it would be a fun way to kind of relook at that amazing scene. So let's go. A present. Almost our anniversary, isn't it? There's a serial killer. I want your perspective. First anniversary. His papers. What makes you think I come so cheap? I thought you'd be curious. You think I get off on this stuff? Don't you? You have pictures? Oh, his violence. It's so baroque. Oh, he's like little puzzles. He likes little puzzles, doesn't he? So meticulous, like he's been planning this his whole life. I know who he is. Who? Who is he? He's a nobody. Wants to be somebody. The mayor. The commissioner. Yeah, he's got ambition. You think his motive is political? Oh, no. This is very, very personal. He feels these people have all wronged him. Probably goes way back. Unhealed wounds. Stolen lunch money. Why is he writing to me? Maybe he's a fan of yours. Or maybe he's got a grudge against you too. Maybe you're the main course. Any theories? Not yet. Really? You're normally so ahead of the curve, but something is different this time. This is very upsetting to you. Let's get back to him. Why? You are so much more interesting and fun. I'm not here to talk about me. What are you here to talk about? I want to know how he thinks. You know exactly how he thinks. Have you read his file? You two have so much in common. Masked Avengers, huh? Except he's even more righteous. Ah, you afraid he makes you look soft? You're wasting my time. Okay. I'll tell you what I really think. I think you don't really care about his motives, whether he loves or hates you. I think somewhere deep down, you're just terrified because you're not sure he's wrong. Huh? You think they deserved it, huh? You think they deserved it. That's it. I tried my best. It's not the greatest performance. It's not Perry Coogan. It's not Rob Pattinson, but I tried my best. And now we're going to discuss it. So let's take a deeper dive at this Joker Batman deleted scene from the Batman. So his physical appearance is absolutely grotesque. In fact, when I look at him, I think of the version of Joker in Gotham in the series finale, although he doesn't seem to be as damaged. but his fingers are grotesque, his face is grotesque. This is a Joker at the beginning of his journey, or at least in a second-year Batman story. A lot of people have said to me, this should have stayed out, blah, 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 it was right to keep it out. I've said this before on my live, and I'll say it again. Removing this scene was a commercial tactic. They put it back, you know, they're showing it to us on its last week of its theatrical run to get more people to go and see it. I do suspect it will be put back in for the HBO Max viewings because that will raise kind of engagement, and certainly will stay in the kind of home release as well because, again, more people will buy it. It makes sense, doesn't it? So it wasn't removed. Matt said officially he removed it for this reason or that reason. Matt's also a great writer, director. He's a businessman as well. He and WB knew exactly what they were doing here. So he's very, very grotesque. But this is not Jack Nicholson's Joker. This is not Heath Ledger's Joker. Some people saying it's a copy. You're living in Cloud Cuckoo Wizard of Ozland. This is original. Because this Joker is actually fucking intelligent. Batman has come to him for a reason. Fuck his insight. This means he's very intelligent. Because this final bit here is sensational. This confirms how intelligent Barry's Joker is. So, look, I'll read this. I won't perform this, but I'll read this again. You know exactly how he thinks. Have you read his file? You have so much in common, right? Then we go to the final bit when he goes, I tell you what I think. I think you don't really care about his motives, whether he loves or hates you. I think somewhere deep down, you're just terrified because you're not sure he's wrong. You think they deserved it. You think they deserved it. He's right. What's brilliant about this moment is that the Joker is right. Batman is conflicted. Now, this is something I didn't see in the movie when I watched it. I didn't kind of think about this, what Batman's perspective of all of this is. Because literally, him and Riddler, really, in the first 3 quarters of the movie, are the same. They have the same goal. They are both vengeance at the end of the day. Now, Batman's not killing people, but he's coming really, really close. And the Joker is right. Batman agrees with what he's doing because he's pretty much doing the same thing apart from murdering people. So he's actually conflicted, Batman. Is he doing the right thing? But Batman still goes after him because he's conflicted, because it's upsetting him. That's what Joker says. This is upsetting you. So what we see here is a Joker who can profile people. He's a criminal profiler. Now, either he can do this because he's naturally intelligent, high IQ, and because he thinks the same as them, or maybe he was a profiler for the FBI before he became like this, right? He could have been an ordinary guy. But I suppose I'm probably wrong because he had this condition where he couldn't stop smiling from birth. So it's a birth defect. So would it be unlikely that he would have such a good job? Well, listen. Good FBI criminal profilers are, few and far between. I know that. And so they probably would use him. So I'm not going to count that out at this stage. So as I say, this is a very intelligent version of the Joker. This is the most intelligent live-action Joker we've ever seen. We've only seen a bit of him. So it's really difficult to make prejudgments. But he's not Ledger's Joker. He's not trying to be Ledger's Joker. As I say, this is a criminal profiler. He can profile people. He's literally just profiled Batman so easily. So this is an intelligent guy. This is not just a maniac who laughs. This is a guy who thinks very, very deeply about things. And he's more meticulous than those other live-action versions of the Joker. Now, I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. If, Leto or Ledger or Nicholson are your favourites. But this is a very, very different animal. This gives Batman new problems because let's imagine this scenario. Imagine if Batman is trapped in the sequel in Arkham Asylum with all these people, but in the same cell as Joker. The Joker's going to have a psychological fucking field day with him. So this is what I really got from the scene. I didn't, even though I've kind of identified the fact that he's a lot more grotesque, Now, I don't know if he falls in the vat of acid, if that's how he gets his scars. I'm not sure what happened there. It's certainly very interesting to find out. I could have swore that that Matt hinted that that's not the case, but we'll find out sooner rather than later. If Matt does a director's commentary of the Batman on the home release, I'll be very interested to see if he says anything about that when we get to the Joker scene. And I do believe that scene will be put back in, but we've already got a little Joker scene in the movie anyway. I think this is very similar to the Return to Krypton sequence in Superman Returns, and I said this on my live as well. That should have been kept in. That took something very special away from Superman Returns. It took away the character's motivations. He went back to Krypton. He comes back 5 years later. It's more as an accessible of a story if we see Superman in that great Krypton sequence that I see repeatedly all the time because I think it's brilliant. And it's the same with this. Once you take a scene like this out, it takes something away from the story. Joker saying that Batman is conflicted about the Riddler is a very important revelation. And it's a revelation you really don't get underlined within the movie. As I said earlier, I never thought about that for a minute, that, you know, that Batman is conflicted about Riddler. So it's a really great reveal. And I think a lot of people are not talking about that element. I think the dialogue from the Joker is much more interesting than what we see visually here. The grotesqueness of the character. You know, people have been saying, well, Harley Quinn could never fall in love with this version of the Joker. And that kind of exposes people, because do you fall in love with people because of their attractiveness? No. Love is more than a skin-deep attraction. You know, that's how it can all start, of course. But, you know, let's say maybe Harley Quinn is physically deformed in this universe as well. Not that she has to be. So, yeah, I'm a bit confused by people saying that. You can still fall in love with someone even if they look ugly or grotesque to you. That's how women have fallen in love with me before, right? Not the best looking geezer, but a bit of a personality, I think. Anyway, so it'll be interesting if they do introduce Harley. I don't think so, because I think Todd Phillips is doing his own Harley story in Joaquin Phoenix Joker sequel. We'll see what happens. It doesn't mean that Matt can't introduce his own Harley, but maybe introducing multiple Harleys at the same time wouldn't be the best thing. But we'll wait and see. I'd love to see Matt's perspective on Harley Quinn, and I'm kind of done with Margot Robbie's perception of Harley, because she's trying to make her into a feminist icon. You know, Harley is not a feminist fucking icon. She was a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a criminal psychiatrist. She went fucking nuts. She's killed people. And just to say that it's all down to the Joker's manipulation doesn't wash with me. That's just SJW simplicity, and because they look at everything in black and white. So I would love someone like Todd Phillips, who isn't necessarily, let's say, extreme left-leaning, to actually look at Harley in a very intelligent way, like he did with the Joker. Anyway, back to this scene. Joker is in total control of this conversation. Firstly, because Batman has gone to him. So what is their history here? Well, it looks like they've tangled, you know, with each other. Now, I want to go back to this. Does he say a 1-year anniversary or simply an anniversary? Let's go back. A present, almost our anniversary, isn't it? First anniversary is papers, right? So they met nearly a year ago. So they met in Batman's year 1. That's official. I couldn't remember that bit, so I had to go back to it. So that's interesting. So obviously they had some kind of scuffle. Maybe it was another cat and mouse game like the Riddler and Batman. He finally caught him and put him in Arkham. Now the question here is Batman responsible for the Joker's deformity? Will we know who the Joker was before he was deformed? Who was he? Was he a model citizen? We simply don't know. Will we get a backstory? Will we get a Barry Coogan Joker series? Will he be in the Arkham show? I think he will show up, and I think he'll play a big role in the second movie. For the people who constantly say Who do you think's going to be the main villain? Because if we're doing a kind of Batman Arkham for the sequel, which I'm very, very kind of thinking that we are, multiple villains, no main villain, and obviously once the Joker's there, he's your main villain whether you like it or not. So very, very exciting. So I think this is a franchise of multiple villains rather than a main villain. And I think people are getting lost in what they're used to seeing in other comic book movies. So that's how I see his future. This franchise is going to be an evolution. This isn't Batman Begins. This is Batman Year 2. They're leaping everything on from Year 2, but they can go back to Year 1. That's what Gotham PD was going to do. So that's interesting now. Is Arkham going to be set in Gotham Year 1? It's going to be interesting. Now, Matt's told us that's going to be kind of a haunted house, American Horror Story type of show. So I think it's going to be very interesting. We've also got Penguin, but there's going to be many, many more spin-offs. All these announcements will be made after the Discovery AT&T merger. Once that's done and Discovery are happy, things will start to get green-lit. So you're just going to have to be a little bit patient. I do foresee a Joker kind of prequel HBO Max series. And I think that would be great to kind of look at this character and where he's come from and set him up for the Batman sequel as well. So in the next 3 or 4 minutes, let's just kind of sum up what kind of scene this was. This is a scene, obviously this is a Hannibal Lecter, kind of scene from Silence of the Lambs. It's very different in a lot of ways because, these two guys have got history. And as I say, Joker has the upper hand. And Batman's trying to steer him away from focusing on him. Because even in the comics, Joker is obsessed with Batman, but he doesn't want to kill him. It's literally a kind of a twisted, fucked up love story, but it's a one-sided love story. Or is it? Is this where they're going with this? Could this be a proper kind of messed up love story? Interesting. Would Matt Reeves be interested in doing that? Now, a lot of you out there would be very, very upset and triggered by this. But let me tell you this. If you look at certain comics, and even, I know they were joking, but even the Batman Lego movie kind of referenced this. There is a kind of twisted, fucked up kind of obsession between the Joker and Batman. And in the comics, there mostly always has been. I, for sure, have got these vibes from this scene. But again, I don't want you to be upset with me. It's just something I took away from it. So this is not Heath Ledger's Joker. This is something so totally brand new and fresh. And this is why I loved it. The Joker's laugh is a lot better in this scene. When you first hear it, it's so different from what we've heard before. And it felt underwhelming. But now I really like it. So now I'm really excited for the future of this franchise. Of course, I was really excited anyway after I saw the Batman. But when you see this scene, and you see that this is a Joker that profiles criminals, that's intelligent, that can destroy Batman psychologically, that he's in charge of the conversations. This is a brilliant take by Matt Reeves. And this, my friends, is only the beginning in this Batman universe. I've heard a lot of hot takes on Twitter. But everyone going to their Joker. This Joker's the best one, not that one. This, and then someone saying they're ripping off this, they're ripping off that. Everything comes from somewhere. Every writer and director is inspired by something and uses it, right? George Lucas was inspired by Flash Gordon, and the teachings and writings of Joseph Campbell. Everyone has their thing. It's not copying. The Joker movie is inspired from Mean Streets and Taxi Driver. It's not a copy. It's being inspired by something. I mean, obviously, there is a lot of Travis Bickle in Arthur Fleck, but I still think there are a lot of differences in those two characters, and it's done in a very different way. So there's nothing wrong with being inspired. I would give this scene a 10 out of 10. It's absolutely sensational. I'm going to spend the final part of today's DCEU Daily just rambling on. You can either go away or stick with me. It's entirely up to you. It was funny yesterday seeing that scene from the Batman, that deleted scene between Joker and Batman being released and seeing it trend so high. Also seeing the anniversary of Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice trend so high. Meanwhile, the MCU released some news that they were developing some character. I don't know what it is or who it is, and I've even forgotten the name of it. Right, paled into insignificance. Very, very low trends. This is the future, my friends. I just thought I'd mention it because I think it's really, really funny how this is supposed to be the bestest thing ever, but it was DC that was trending higher than Marvel yesterday. This is the future. So let's talk about Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman before I sign off for today. Very, very interesting version of Lex Luthor Jesse Eisenberg is. He's probably the least most popular version. I wouldn't have cast Jesse as Lex Luthor, but I don't care what anyone says. He's still a unique, refreshing take on the character. There's that scene on the roof where I always think about, and it haunts me to this day. You know, Superman's just saved Lois Lane from falling off the roof. Lex has pushed her off to get Superman's attention. Lex Luthor is quite in charge of what's going on here, a bit like the Joker is in that deleted scene of the Batman. I've got your mum, but before he says that, he pretty much tells him that he hates him, that he despises him, that he tells Superman he wants to bring Superman down to his level. He sees him as a god, and he says God is tribal. And I love all that. I love all that. Jesse's performance is quite stunning. But the undertones of this is from where Lex is coming from, because he's also saying to him, God didn't, the Almighty didn't save me from my father's abominations and fists when I was a child. He's breaking down to Superman at that moment and telling him what he went through as a child. This is a very damaged person. And you can tell this is a damaged person from Jesse's fantastic, enigmatic performance. So I think it's a great performance and a great version of Lex. It's definitely taken from the New 52, just like Jared Leto's Joker is. And a lot of people hate the New 52, but there are some fans of the New 52 Joker and Lex, and that's where they were taken. So this is what you get, but in that you get that raw hatred and jealousy he has for Superman, because Lex Luthor in the comics actually believes that he should have Superman's power and not Superman. So in the comics, he goes through all this stuff to always try and get Superman's power. That's why he hates Superman, because of envy. There's even a line in Superman the movie. This is what Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor says. If anyone was going to get this power, why shouldn't it be me? Now, that's probably the only thing that's similar to Lex in the comics from Superman the movie. But it's still a great moment. This is how Lex Luthor has always felt. But even in Smallville, when he finds out who Clark is, especially in that final scene in the Fortress of Solitude, Lex sees himself as a hero. And he kind of sees Superman as the villain. Now, of course, this is very, very deluded thinking, but this is what he thinks. He believes he's a problem because he is an alien, because he does have powers. It's a bit like this role is also played by Ben Affleck's Batman in BVS as well. He sees Superman as a threat. He's an alien. Look at the damage he's done. So in a lot of ways, Lex and Batman and Bruce Wayne are coming from similar angles here. A bit like Batman and the Riddler are in the Batman. It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? Why am I talking about this? Because a lot of people hate BVS. A lot of people hate Jesse's Lex Luthor. And I just thought it'd be interesting to give you some perspective, my perspective of this. There's a lot of comic book accuracy in this Lex. The red wig, that's all in the New 52. That hair, and I love how he shaves his head at the end. Of course, Smallville does such an amazing version of Lex Luthor, it's hard for anyone else to do anything interesting. But I do think Jesse's performance is so good, so raw, and on point with who Lex is in the comics. What Lex's mentality is, he hates Superman. You've got to understand this. He hates Superman. It's the kind of hatred that Hitler had, right? I'm not going to mention who for, because we live in dangerous times where you've got to watch what you say, but it's very similar hatred to what Hitler had, right? In the Second World War and what he was doing in the concentration camps. That's how deeply Lex Luthor hates Superman. And I think really in a lot of ways Lex Luthor was inspired by Adolf Hitler in a lot of ways. He's not as deeply fucked up as Hitler, obviously, but he does hate Superman and he does want his power. There's envy, there's jealousy, and that's the thing. And there's a lot of hatred. And this is who Lex Luthor is. This is who Lex Luthor has always been. So the Lex Luthor in Superman the movie and Superman 2 is not the Lex Luthor from the comics. I mean, in those days, he wasn't a rich billionaire. He was, you know, a mad scientist. In Smallville, you kind of can see sometimes, especially in season 6, when he and his scientists experimenting on the Phantoms, that Lex can actually understand the science a little bit. So they kind of capture the scientist Lex and the billionaire Lex as well, which I really liked. So yeah, so basically by the 80s, Lex being a mad scientist was a bit of a hack-made idea. So they binned it. But that's really the history of the character. And I think Jesse plays this to perfection. The way he goes into the spaceship and he's conversing with the AI as well, I think is amazing. So I do think that Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor is very, very valid. And the more I see it, the more I love it, and the more excited I get about it. Now, we've discussed this before. He is referenced at least in Leslie Grace's Batgirl TV series, or movie, should I say, over on HBO Max, which is on HBO Max for now. So all these things stay in. It's going to be very interesting what happens to Batgirl. Is Walter Hamada's multiverse strategy still going to go ahead uninterfered with? Are Discovery concerned about it, or are they going to allow them to do this? It's all very, very interesting. And as I mention every day, The Flash has been delayed for 7 months, and I am suspicious about that, so I have to wait and see. And also, they made a very quick decision with very short notice to delay those films and bring forward Shazam. But here's the reality. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. And sorry if I'm repeating myself. All these dates you can see may not even be proper dates. Now, I want you to understand this, and this is why I'm repeating myself. These could be placeholder dates. Be very, very careful. Not that you can book your tickets yet, but if you could, don't. Because anything can change, especially with this merger. But yeah, going back to Jesse Eisenberg's Lex, I think it's a great take. It's like whatever Snyder does is rejected, you see. People haven't forgiven Snyder for Watchmen. Now, I believe there's nothing to forgive. But there's die-hard comic book fans who watch what you're doing very closely when you're adapting their character. I just was watching a video while I was prepping for my video, a conversation about the Halo live-action adaptation, and people were ripping into it. If you take liberties with iconic characters, people get very, very upset. And before anyone asks, I know nothing about Halo, and I've never played it. But it doesn't surprise me that people are upset. As a creative, it's one thing to create your own vision of an iconic character. And if it's so good, it doesn't matter that it's different. For example, The Last Jedi. If what Rian Johnson does is so compelling and so amazing, but still totally different, and tears down what JJ did in the first movie, nobody's going to fucking complain. But it wasn't. What The Last Jedi actually was, to me, didn't make me angry. It underwhelmed me. It kind of made me think, I'm going to put Star Wars to one side for now. You don't want that to happen. And this is the kind of thing. So Zack Snyder really was kind of faithful to the Watchmen comics, but there was a few things he didn't do, I think, and some people got really, really upset about that. You know, look, Watchmen is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Now, Damon Lindelof did that fabulous series, which worked for a lot of people. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me because, again, there was a lot of virtue signaling in that series, and it was about identity politics, you know, plain and simple. But yeah, it's very difficult to adapt iconic characters. And I think someone like Lex Luthor, And especially when you got Michael Rosenbaum, who was delivering, really Emmy Award, at least nominated performances every week on Smallville for 7 seasons. He never even got nominated for an Emmy, but he should have done. I'm just telling you the level of Rosenbaum's Lex. So it's very difficult for another actor to come in, let alone Jesse, who wouldn't be someone any fan or consumer would say, yeah, he's Lex. But he still delivered a great performance. He still gave us, and Snyder and Terrio still gave us a very intriguing look at Lex Luthor. This has been DC. This has been the DCEU Daily. I always forget, don't I? This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you tonight when I'm live, or maybe, if I could be bothered, to do another video. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you later.